In this video, I will elaborate on new enablers for 5G monetization and how these new enablers unlock the new revenues for you. Hello, my name is Jitendra Manocha and I'm working as a product and portfolio management expert in areas like AI, edge computing, network and service exposure, and network slicing. I've been one of the founding product managers for one of the products in Ericsson's 5G core product portfolio. And today, I will elaborate on new enablers for 5G monetization and how they are enabling new revenues for you. My talk is divided into 3 blocks, starting with application awareness in the network and new enablers. Then I touch upon standardization and alliance role and what's coming next. And I will conclude by connecting all enablers with some examples. The last decade saw the networks being used in an innovative way, where IT and mobile applications also became consumers of the network. This was made possible by developers and enterprises leveraging the voice and SMS based API from the network. They provided the APIs to applications like PayPal, which is a payment gateway application. This application used a 2-factor authentication API to validate the users on their mobile devices via SMS. The second example is a taxi service Uber, which used a programmable voice API to enable the passenger and the driver voice communication between them. These assets are pretty simple, and it basically gave a new revenue stream for you and also the communication platform and the service companies. But these are largely undifferentiated network assets. We still have one network for all, be it human or machine or the application. There is no separate resources for connectivity hungry application. We could also say that the network is not completely application aware. With 5G standalone, we are not only enhancing the 4G characteristics, but it is introducing a new service-based architecture that enables new capabilities and paves the foundation for an application-aware network. Now, what is the application-aware network? Application-aware network is the network that adapts to different types of application requirements and provide the suitable resources for better performance of the application. The emergence of application-aware network will lead to the emergence of network-aware application, and this will be a multi-billion US dollar market. Now, the use cases that we have all talked about so far, like enhanced security, extended reality, real-time gaming and video streaming, autonomous vehicles, all these use cases will be built by network-aware application, leveraging an application-aware network. Now, what are the enablers that are turning the network into application awareness? There are multiple new functionalities in 5G networks, but I would like to highlight 3 main functionalities that are enabling an application aware network. Starting with network slicing, which is a logical division of the physical network. One can deploy one physical network and logically divide into multiple network slices. And then based on the application requirements, the application could be rerouted to a particular slice using the UE. And UE can be rerouted using the UE routing selection policy feature to a specific slice. Now, there are multiple slices possible. You can have a slice which provides low latency, ultra low latency slice. You can also have a slice that provides mobile broadband capability only. The second capability that I see is edge computing. Edge computing is a key capability to offer low latency to the applications by reducing the round trip time of the packets. Now, how can you do that? You deploy the application closer to the user where it is being consumed, thereby reducing the round trip time and providing the low latency to the user. Edge and slicing are making the network application aware. So you saw, based on the application, you provide logical division of the resources. You can provide dedicated resources. Based on the application, you also provide a location where application can be deployed and provide low latency as well, right? So edge and slicing are making the network application aware. Now, the third key functionality is exposure. Exposure is all about programmability of the network. Exposure is about exposing the key capabilities I just mentioned, like slicing, edge, quality of service, location to the applications. And exposure could be on network level or exposure could be on service level. Exposure could be to the UE via UE network interface. When I say UE, I mean user equipment. So exposure could be via UE network interface, or exposure could be using the application programmable interfaces. Exposure is enabling the development of network aware application. Once you have deployed 5G standalone network and implemented the capabilities like network slicing, edge computing, you will require network exposure to enable the development of network aware application who will use the advanced APIs from the network and adapt their behaviors according to the network capabilities. So now you understand about the application awareness in the network and new enablers. Now, before we try to connect all these enablers, we need to understand the standardization ecosystem around us, the role of different bodies, how they enable new use cases at a global scale. If I start from, first of all, the verticals like manufacturing industries, verticals like automotive industries. These verticals provide inputs to the association or alliances like 5G Alliance for Connected Industry Automation, 5G Alliance for Automotive Association. So these are two examples of industry alliances that are collecting inputs from the verticals and providing those inputs to the standardization bodies for the network requirements. Now, 3GPP and Telemanagement Forum are two global standardization bodies supported by regional bodies like ETSI, European Telecommunication System body. These two bodies like 3GPP and TM Forum, they both specify the northbound APIs to be exposed from the network and management system. 3GPP works mainly towards networks and some parts toward the management system, whereas TM Forum work towards mainly management systems, and they collaborate together to align different initiatives and different capabilities. Then beyond the network and management northbound APIs, we have service API related initiatives. Now this service API, the purpose of service API is to abstract the complexity of telecom and management APIs from the developers by exposing these capabilities in a harmonized way to external developers who have very little knowledge of the telco systems. There are different initiatives when it comes to service APIs. One recent initiative is launch of an alliance called Camara. So the Camara is an open source initiative hosted in the Linux Foundation, and multiple CSPs like you, equipment vendors like Ericsson, Nokia, and hyperscalers like AWS, Microsoft, Google, they are all participating and contributing in this alliance to create service APIs that can be exposed to the external developers in a harmonized way. We also have TM Forum, which is providing service APIs and abstracting the complexity from the management level APIs. Then, except these two, we also have hyperscalers which are exposing the cloud APIs, and we also have device vendors like Apple and Samsung, etc., who are exposing the device APIs to the applications. So you see now there are three big bodies that are exposing the service level APIs to the external developers and enabling the application development. If I can touch upon what new functionalities are coming, which basically enable the application development when it comes to 5G standalone, I start with 3GPP release 15 and 16, which was a foundational release to deploy a new architecture for 5G core based on service-based interfaces. Now, other than deploying the new architecture, release 15 and 16 came up with new functionalities as well. Starting in the exposure domain, release 15 introduced a function called network exposure function, which exposes the northbound APIs from the network. Release 16 and 15 both had an analytics function called network data analytics function, which is basically providing the intelligence to the network. And then we had slicing related functionality as well. Some example of this is network slice selection function, and there are more functionalities in the management domain that was provided with release 15 and 16. So release 15 and 16 were very foundational, providing key capabilities in exposure, analytics, and slicing domain. Now with release 17, there has been an enhancement of network slicing. That means we have a new function introduced called network slice access control function that provides the restriction to a particular slice based on the number of UEs or number of or the location. So this is a key enabler and key enhancement towards the network slicing. Then we had enhanced edge computing capabilities in release 17, where 3GPP standardization area 2 that deals with mainly network functionality introduced a new function called edge application server discovery function, which basically provides the application server discovery mechanisms. We had 3GPP standardization area 6 providing different capabilities like edge enabler server and edge configuration server, which are making the device edge aware. Then we had enhanced NWDEF as well. When I say NWDEF, I mean network data analytics function. This is basically providing better architecture in release 17. And there were more enhancement in proximity services as well when it comes to release 17. These are only few out of many. There are more functionalities coming in release 18 as well when it comes to extended reality and media services. There are studies ongoing on the UPF enhancements. UPF, I mean user plane function enhancement of exposure and service-based architecture. Then there will be enhancement on 5G user equipment policy as well. There will be a lot of improvements in the service frameworks of edge, slicing, exposure, and analytics. So release 18 is greatly enhancing the capabilities of the new enablers and providing capabilities to the vertical applications. So if I go on to my third block, putting it all together, just to give you an example, if you start with network exposure. So network exposure is basically exposing the network capabilities in form of APIs to the external developers. One key capability is quality of service. That means quality of service could be offered as an API for the applications to get their packets prioritized in the network. And those applications could be the first responder application. We already have live deployment of these applications in the 4G networks today. Then we have edge computing, which I mentioned earlier, low latency possible by deploying network and compute together by providing a compute for hosting the application closer to the user location, and by providing the traffic routing, that means local breakout of the network closer to the user location, right? By doing this, we get the low latency and less round trip time for the packets. Edge computing depends on multiple deployment types. It could depend on different types of use cases, and it could be a device-driven edge, or it could be an application server-driven edge as well. It is possible to deploy edge computing today without introducing any slicing or any other 5G standalone network. Then we have network slicing, which is logical division of different characteristics. And I mentioned network slicing is really key for becoming a network which is application aware. And you can put all these capabilities together. As I mentioned, exposure and edge computing is possible today. But when it comes to slicing, when it comes to providing a truly application-aware network, you need to deploy all these three together. So you need to provide a low latency slice to an application. In that case, you will require edge computing in that particular slice. You will require the prioritized quality of service, and you will require the UE routing selection policy mechanisms to route to the particular application to this particular slice. Now, these are all differentiated services to enable the network-aware applications. So you will be able to now provide an application-aware network building on 5G standalone, network slicing, edge computing, and exposure. The challenge that you might face is how do you deliver these capabilities to multi-operator enterprise in single country or multi-country? Because if you have single enterprise, single operator, it works very well. But when it comes to multi-operator, single country, multi-operator, multi-country, you will have to have a collaboration. And there are few initiatives that are present today. So GSMA Open Gateway initiative has recently been launched by 21 operators globally to collaborate with each other for enabling the interoperability between the different operators, and by providing one single API to the global and regional application developers. Another initiative is Ericsson Global Network Platform, which is leveraging the capabilities coming in from GSMA Open Gateway as well as integrating directly with you, multiple operators across multiple countries, and building on our recent acquisition of Vonage, which is a key player in communication platform as a service industry. And we are working with developers, communities to enable new use cases and integrating with you as a network provider to provide the simple and easy to consume APIs for the developers. This is a stepwise journey which takes a year to scale. And we need to start identifying the partners and ecosystem already now. To conclude, 5G standalone is paving the foundation of application-aware networks and provides new enablers for monetization, which are evolving as we move towards 5G advanced and 6G. It's a multi-billion US dollar business. So go deploy 5G standalone. Second, invest in new enablers. Invest in network slicing, edge computing, and expose standardized APIs to enable the network-aware applications. Ericsson is committed to your success and have the capabilities and are the leaders in 5G core. In addition, we have started to act as an accelerator from a local and global exposure perspective to enable new network-aware applications. Please reach out to your local Ericsson representative for further deep dives in this area. Thank you.